I continue to take you guys with me behind the scenes as part of the 50,000 celebration, and today I'm going to show you how my videos are made. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. So the channel recently passed 50,000 subscribers, and as I've already announced, I'm running these celebration events where I'm taking you guys behind the scenes. And today we're going to go through a creation of a video from having absolutely nothing but an idea to a finished product that's uploaded to YouTube and ready to go public. But of course, there's a lot of other events going on as part of this celebration. There's a giveaway in the description where you can win yourself a Fire tablet from Amazon, included with a 1-year subscription to GameGlass. This is sponsored by GameGlass. There is 85,000 arcs for Elite Dangerous. That is also sponsored by GameGlass and sponsored by me. We have a X52 Pro HOTAS that you can get as well. So some really awesome prizes. Go down in the description. And of course, while you're down there, go over and check the merch store. There's some brand new limited 50,000 celebration merchandise. Go and check that out. There's also a lot of other cool designs, so I'm pretty sure you'll find something you like. We're going to make a video today, and this is going to be a ship comparison video. I've done these in the past where I take the stats of two different ships and hold them up next to each other and talk about the pros and cons of the two ships. And I think today we're going to make a comparison video between the Crate Mark II and the Crate Phantom. The first thing we're going to do here is we're just going to jump over to the NAS. This is my network server that I showed you in the studio tour, which should already be public. You can go and watch that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump in here to videos. And while we're here, we're just going to take a copy of these template here, and the one called thumb. That's the thumbnail template. You will see a lot of my workflow works around templates and pre-built modules that just plug in. This is to save time. I mean, if I had to start from scratch every time, I would not be able to push videos out as fast as I do. At least then I would have to sacrifice a lot of additional spare time. But I'm going to take a copy of those, and then we're going to go in and create a folder for this. Crate Mark II versus Phantom. There we go. Let's drop in the two files we just copied. And then while we're at it, we're just going to rename this template so we know which video file it is. This is the video project, by the way, in case you're not familiar with this file extension. This is for the project file we're going to upload or load all our video to, and this is the thumbnail template that we're going to use to create the thumbnail once we're done. Now, these ship comparison videos I already have out here. As you can see here, I have base info, defense, and maneuverability. These are GIMP templates where, as you can see here, it just holds the whole frames are there and all the grid is already set up. This is all pre-built. I just have to sit and fill in all the data for the two different ships. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a copy of these three as well. Now all we really have to do is just go with the base info first, is just to begin and sit and fill in the information. This is basically the research level. Normally, if I were doing like a guide on something in game, I would go in game, I would try it out first before I went in and recorded it and make sure that I got the whole flow. To keep myself reminded of what I need to do, what I often do here is I create a text file here to just call notes. And as I'm doing my research before I start recording the videos, I will always have this note files open and I will just write down any ideas I get. Not necessarily structured, it could just be like, whenever I get, oh, I need to mention this and this and this and that. And then later on, I will begin to then structure it into say, okay, I want to do it in this order. All the ship information that we need to have in order to get access to this. In this case, I would go in here where I've taken a dump of all the Coriolis data. This is publicly available. They have an open GitHub page where you can go and you can make a clone of it for yourself. I've done that. And in here you have all the different things, like all the different modules are in here where you can see stats on those. And more importantly, in this case, we have all the different ships in here. So in our case, we're going to go Crate Mark II, Crate Phantom. You can see all the stats on the ships. We have all the hidden stats as well. We have heat capacity. We have the base armor. So what is the armor without any additional things fitted? But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to begin to fill out these small infographics that we're going to use for the video. Okay, so all these infographics has now been filled out. It took about 15 minutes to fill out, and now we can begin to write ourselves some notes here. And then we have the Phantom, which is lighter. And here, when we're talking about the mass, here it could be good to again go down and talk about the jump range. Maybe now that we're talking about jump range, we'll also talk about total range. Oops. I mean, the fact that they have the same fuel tank, class 5 fuel tank in both of them, should mean that we should have the Phantom have an overall longer range, because same FSD, same fuel tank, but lighter hull mass. Of course, it was reflected here in the better jump range, but it's pretty good to also mention the longer range between fuels. There is one less crew, and if I recall correctly, the Phantom can't use a fighter. Let me just check that actually. Yes, I do recall correctly that the Crate Mark II cannot fit. Sorry, the Crate Phantom cannot fit a fighter hangar, so I'll probably put this in here. Okay, so that is pretty much the research step done. Again, this varies a lot depending on the type of video I'm doing. If it's something in-game, then obviously it would take a lot longer than this. This was relatively quick, and I did choose something I knew I could do fast for the purpose of this video in order to give you the complete true, and I don't have to spend multiple days recording this. But now we're going to jump over to the other PC where we're going to be talking about recording. Here we are over on the secondary PC. This is the recording PC, and obviously since I'm recording this right now, it is already recording, and we can actually see here if I open up the camera recording, we can see here I have an older version of OBS. This is OBS Classic that I'm using just for the face cam, because then I always use the OBS Studio for right streaming, and I'll then use the Classic for everything else, simply because then I could keep it completely separate. You can make do with just one. You can go up here and you can change profiles. You could have like a streaming profile, and you could also change scene collections here. So I could have a scene collection for live streaming and a profile for live streaming, and you can do all the settings separately. So it does support it. It's just the way that I've been running it for years, and I don't feel like changing, to be honest. It works quite well. I also, of course, has Audacity here, recording my voice right now. You might notice here that the camera does not have an audio recording, and that's of course because I'm using a microphone that's separate from the camera, so this is quite a common setup. So I always split face cam and audio separately. What I don't split, however, is the screen. Here you can see this is actually the screen that we're recording right now. Obviously, when I'm recording the main monitor, I would be using another software here. This is Elgato's 4K capture thing, so I can capture directly. So right now I'm capturing the main monitor that you saw before. So normally I'll be using this for monitor capture, but now that I have to show you the screen, of course, I'm just using a second instance of OBS to capture one for the camera and one for the screen. Now, all this audio, all these different tracks are obviously not started at the exact same second. I click start that one, start that one, start that one. So we need to be able to align this up. In order to do that, I always use the audio track as the alignment track. And that means in order to align the camera and the audio, you just clap a couple of times, make sure your hands are in frame. And then in post, you will see this in a second when we go over to the editing phase. I can sit and I can look at the camera feed and see when do my hands hit and when do I hear the clap of the microphone. And now we have camera and audio or voice linked up. Now we need those two tracks linked up to the camera feed, or to the screen feed. So what I would do here is I'll just find a folder, or in game there could be a menu or anything, and then I just go open, close, open, close. And again, then me opening and closing this folder, I can go in and I can sync up the audio of me saying open and close to when that actually happens on screen. And now we have face cam, audio, and game audio. I never split up game audio from game video. Some people like to do that, I don't. But now that all this is set up, what I'm going to do now is going to shut down this recording, and I'm now going to do the recording for this second video, and you're going to join me once I'm done with the recording for that video, and we're going to go in and we're going to edit that. Okay, so here we are. I've just finished recording the other video, and we have the files here and here. These are the files that I'm currently recording right now. There is no A-roll for this video. Normally when I record, I would of course be recording A-roll, which is basically the screen that I have in front of me while recording. But I'm not going to need that in this case, so it haven't been recorded. But just normally I would be recording A-roll. So now we can take these clips here that we are now done with, and we can then navigate over to the server, which of course I also have access to over here from the secondary PC. And that is this video folder here. And we're going to dump that, and we're just going to start a file transfer to get that moved over to the server. Next step will be going in and recording B-roll. That means that is all the pretty shots, right? This is all the, when you see cameras swooping around a ship, whenever you do not see the screen that I actively have in front of me, that is B-roll. And well, then obviously I will need a lot of that this time because I have no A-roll. So I'll have to do quite a bit more, but again, we also have 2 different ships. However, it is getting late now, so that means B-roll will be recorded tomorrow, and then we'll also go into editing and all the other stuff. So, see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so it's day 2, and it's time for us to shoot some B-rolls. So let's start by just going in and actually acquiring the ship that we need. So I'm just going to go and see if we can find the first crate here. Here we go, crate Phantom. Let's get this thing on the surface. Now when it comes to B-roll, it's all about just being a little creative, which I'll be honest, is actually not my strong suit. I have a very analytic mind, so I often have to, I often end up getting the same shots of the different ships just because I'm not that creative when it comes to stuff like that. External camera, free camera mode, and then just hide all the UI elements. You could probably get a little bit more speed out of this. And now the recording is already running. It's just a matter of getting some smooth tracking shots. We're going to try to get the ship from all angles by just circling around it like this. When you're shooting B-rolls, there's a few tricks you can use. One thing that I really like is sometimes to go, let's get some more speed here, sometimes to get some really good distance to the ship, especially when you're shooting from a static position here, and then zoom in, and then have something come in front of you. Let's see if we can find something here that is not going to block us too much so the camera. Sometimes having, like, what I'm trying to say is having these objects come in frame can give a little bit more depth to your videos, I guess. So I keep getting, what is it I'm hitting? Oh, it's that landing pad. I need more altitude here. One little trick is if you want to have the ship look really big, if you want to convey this is a big, huge, massive ship, especially if doing in the hangar, is to try and get it as close to the ground as you can. I'm gonna see how close it's going to allow me to get here. About there. And if you then zoom way in, like so, and then we could turn down the sensitivity again, and then do, whoops, and then do something like this. Then you really get a feeling for this being a massive, massive spaceship. The only problem is, as you can see, the ground effect here, the small railing in the front, has a tendency to bounce all over the place. That's an unfortunate side effect. Similarly, if you wanted to convey this as being a really, really small, tiny ship, you could go up, get some distance, zoom way, way out, so you really get a lot of view here, and then you could do something similar again. Always try to get a little bit of motion into your shots. It doesn't have to be much, just, I mean, something like, for instance, just looking at it and just have a very, very tiny roll can be enough that there is some motion in the B-rolls, which I think really helps. B-roll has been recorded, and now we are almost ready to begin editing, but we have one more thing we need to do. So I want to have some pictures of the 2 ships in case I need those. Oh, there's an update available. Not going to do that now. So I just went on and I found some pictures online, but I want to cut out the background so I can put it in the video. And the best way is just to use something like a lasso tool and just spend the time basically walk around the edge of the ship like this. So we can basically select only the part that we want, and then we're just gonna cut out that part and put it into a new layer. So I'm just gonna quickly do that. So now we are finally ready to begin the actual edit. So we're gonna open up the template we had before. This is the way this is just from the get-go, and you can see I've already added like this up in the corner. This is part of the template that I made, and there's lots of different tracks here that has some pre-settings set up. Let's begin to get our videos lined up. So we're gonna drag in our face cam. We're gonna drag in our audio and just align that up underneath. But basically what I'm gonna do is I can see the clap here, so I'm just gonna zoom in so they can jump one frame just before the clap happens in the audio. And then I'm just going to drag this until frame by frame. Almost there. Oh, that looks like the last frame before the clap happens. So it looks like that. Let's see if that's pretty well lined up. That looks pretty good to me. Into the effects here on the video track, and we're gonna add a chroma keyer so we can key out. Oh, that's not the chroma keyer. That was the chroma balancer. Just as with everything else, I have a template. So I just disable the effect, and if I enable the effect, you can see it already pretty well keyed out. Could potentially get a little bit more there. Good trick when you're chroma keying is if you have the option to just show it as a mask, like so. It's easier to see, because if you go too far, you can see here how it begins to ghost, right? So you can use this to kind of get a feeling for how far if you've gone far enough. I could actually go a little bit. See, that's not enough. So now we need to figure out where this video actually starts. So let's just try to listen to some of these. You can see the pauses in between, so I'm just going to listen to the start of this. The Crate Mark II. The Crate Mark II. Hello, lady. Okay, so this one's the last one I recorded before I went over to whatever's going to run after the intro has run. So this is probably one that I wanted. Zoom in a bit here. We can see timestamps up here. So there's about half a second between these markings. And I'm going to give it about a half-second lead before I begin talking here in the beginning. Cut those alignment part of the video out. Drag that back to the start like so. Right now we're just going to edit the camera. So I'm just going to take that. We're going to fade that out. And when the fade begins, we're going to go and we're going to drag in the intro. We're going to fade in the audio. And then we're just going to check the audio levels. We're going to use the audio meter out here on the side. Similar ships, yet very, very different. Okay, so it's a little high. I mean, normal talking go up to like -6 dB. That's a little bit too high. So I'm just going to pull that back like 3 dB or something like that. And now we just need to make sure this also has a similar audio level. So that's quite a bit higher. It sounds at least higher. Very similar ships, yet very, very different. Yeah, tone that down a bit. There's probably okay. If there's a sponsor for the video, we need to go in and we need to find the integration that we need to run. So today's video is gonna be running the SecretLab integration, and then we're just gonna drag that in there. That's the add integration. So now we need to begin to do the edit of the video. Right now, as you can see, there's no background video at all. If I had A-roll, which I don't have here, but then of course I would have aligned that up in the beginning and I would have that running, and I would then edit the whole video only with A-roll running in the background. And then I would do a second pass later to come back and delete the stuff that I don't, the A-roll sections that I don't need, and then replace that with B-roll instead. That was pass number 1. So now we have done the main edit of the actual face cam and of the audio, and now we can begin to add in all the other elements into the video. So now all there is to do is basically just keep this thing here, and then as I begin to move on and talk about the next section, I'm just going to make the text pop in one thing at a time as we talk about it, and then do the same thing for maneuverability and do the same thing for defense. But right now it is 2:30 a.m. So I think that this part of the edit I'll probably do off camera. And then you guys can join me tomorrow again on day 3 as we finish this edit. So I finished off the edit of all the infographics. So all we have now is, you can see here in the beginning, still black screen here. There's some dead space here. And we have a good, how much is that? A good 2 minutes here of so far nothing. And of course we need to fill that out, and we're going to be using some of the B-roll for that. So once again, we're going to go over here to our project media. We're going to find our B-roll recording, drop that in there. And now we're just going to begin to cut out the different sections. So what I usually do is I just sit here and I scrub through the recording. And then see, where do I start actually doing a track shot around whatever it is, do around there. So we're going to split that there, and then just figure out when that kind of stops. We're not going to be too accurate right now. We're just going to, so about there. So right now, basically, that's all I'm going to do now is I'm going to run through this whole clip. I'm going to find all the usable footage there is. by just scrubbing through it for now, and then we're gonna do a more accurate cut of it later. Okay, so I'm now done with cutting down the B-roll to the first raw cut. So you just have to try and fit that in. And as we saw here, we had about 2 minutes of blank space here. I can't remember how much this was, but that's about 15 seconds. And then we also have like 7 seconds in the beginning. So in total, we probably have like 2.5 minutes of stuff we need to fill out. And we have a total of about 4-ish minutes of B-roll. It's also a good idea to kind of do these ballpark so you kind of know how picky you can be, because if you have very little B-roll, then you might want to go either shoot more or use it a bit more time efficient. Like I wouldn't compress it or time stretch it as much as I otherwise would. That should do it. I've now filled in some B-roll where that I'm happy with. So we're just going to delete the rest of the clips here that we're not going to need. And that actually concludes the editing part. We're just going to turn off some filters here that we don't want on the final render. Now, normally I would then move this over, open this project up over on the secondary PC to render it over there. But that is obviously recording right now. So I will then go and let's just go and render it here. And of course, I have a template for it. We're just going to make sure it goes in the right folder. And then we're going to start the render. I will sometimes render here in the main PC if it's a more like time-sensitive video. If it's something I want out fast, I will render on the main PC because it's faster. But normally it would just go over on the secondary PC because, well, yeah, it takes longer, but it doesn't really matter. That thing is now going to sit there and it's going to be rendering the video here in the background, and that's probably going to take some time. But in the meantime, so here we have the thumbnail template that I've built. Again, it basically just have this small box out here on the side where there's the name and the logo that I have in all my thumbnails. And what we're going to do is we're then going to drag in the background we need, and we're going to, and we're going to drag in the 2 pictures we have of the Crate Mark II and the Crate Phantom. Drag those in there as well. First of all, let's fix the background. So I'm just going to go out here and we're going to mute the two ship layers. This one layer, of course, is going to go below that black layer, and these are actually going to do that as well. And then we're going to go and resize this so that it fits a little bit better. Where is that? Yeah, scale. We're going to make sure we have the aspect ratio locked so we don't shear the picture out of proportion. And then we're just going to begin to downscale it. There's quite a bit of dark down here in the bottom, so maybe not going to scale all the way down, but something like that is probably pretty good, I think. I really like that. In order to make these ships stand out a little more, right now they're already pretty bright and they stand out from the background color, so it's not necessarily that necessarily in this case, but I'm just going to show you it anyway because I like to do this quite often. I like to add like a small halo around the ships. So what I would do is I would take this is a selection tool that could select a specific color. So if I want everything on that, let's get the Crate Mark II here, if of that color, I could select that and it would then take all those colors around the ship. But I'm just going to pull the threshold all the way up. So now it's just selecting everything. And then we're going to go up here to the selection and we're going to go feather it by 50 pixels, usually pretty good. Swap that over to white, get the bucket tool, and then go down to the glow layer. I'm just going to mute the layer here. See if I fill this in now. It's like a fuzzy edge. It's no longer, that's the feathering. It like blurs the edges, right? So now when I put in the ship, it gets this small glowy halo around it that just makes the ship pop out a little bit more. Just going to do the same thing to the Phantom so you can see what I'm talking about here. There we go. Now they both have a halo. It's visible, yes, but just compare it. I don't know. I mean, some may prefer it like that. I like to have that little halo. It just makes the ships, I think, pop out a little bit more. I actually think this is slightly better. I'm just going to play around a little bit with the layer order here. One thing is try to avoid, if you're making thumbnails, try to avoid this corner down here, because this is where the timestamp will be on how long the video is. So if you put a lot of stuff or text down here in this corner here, it'll be covered up by that. So try to avoid that if you can. So I'm just going to add in that glow effect again, and then we're going to do something to the text as well to make that stand out a bit more. So I think this will do just fine as a thumbnail. So we're going to save that, and then we're going to export it. There we go. And now we have a beautiful thumbnail that we can upload for our video. Okay, how's the render going? The render is 27% done. It's about 40 minutes left on this render. So I guess I will see you when the render is done. Okay, the render is now done, so we can close that, and we can then go over here to YouTube, and we can now begin the upload process, getting this thing up and ready. So where is it? There it is. Wasn't actually too bad. It's only 887 megabytes. That's actually very decent. So let's just start the upload. You can see the upload running down here at the bottom. So we're just going to give it a title. Let's go Crate Mark II versus something like that. If we want any additional links, if there were like ship builds or any other links, we have to put those in the description here. Then we need to take our thumbnail we created before and just upload that. If you wanted a playlist, do not add it to a playlist in the beginning. I'll show you why later. And then we go here to additional options, where we're gonna go down and say the name of the game that we are playing. That is Elite Dangerous. There. And we're gonna add some tags. We're gonna put in Elite and Elite Dangerous, and you could keep adding more tags, but for now let's just say that is fine. Next step is monetization. That's gonna be on. Add suitability. This is something new they have done. Basically, you can put in if you have any like mature language or any like violence or anything like that in the video, you can put it in here and it will. But in this case, no, I don't have any of that. I don't have any swearing or anything like that. So we can just click and continue. Video elements. Here we need to add the end scene, like the overlays, and luckily YouTube has the option to just import from another video. So I can just take one of my previous videos and import. So now it will, over here in the corner, it will, based on YouTube's own guess, put in those of my videos that would be the best recommendation for the current viewer. There's here in the middle, there is a logo for the subscription. And then there's the most recent upload over there, so we just want to check that. Save that. And then visibility. If you just finish here, it will be unlisted. So if you added it to a playlist, then people could go into the playlist and then find the video in there and then actually watch it before you publish it. So that's why you should only put the video into playlists once you are scheduling them. I don't know when this video is going to go live, so we're going to keep it unlisted. Whenever I'm ready, I can then go in and schedule the video for when I want this to go live. So now we can click save, and there we go. The video is now sitting here unlisted, and whenever I feel like there's a spot open where this thing should go live, we can go ahead and we can publish the video. So that is my workflow. That is what goes into making a video. Remember that part of this whole 50,000 subscriber celebration, there is a giveaway. It is in the description. There will be a link for it where you can go and sign up. You can win yourself a 10-inch Fire tablet from Amazon with a 1-year subscription to GameGlass. There will also be a X52 Pro HOTAS, and there will be 55,000 ARCs up for grabs. The tablets and the ARCs are sponsored by GameGlass, and the HOTAS is something that I've sponsored myself. So go down if you want a chance to win. There's also a video up on the channel posted last week where you can see all the information about this giveaway, when winners will be drawn. So go and find that video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, subscribe, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.